I want to know which foreigner took a job from who. Because you are here, you are the anchor of the SABC. There is no foreigner who can come here and just take your job and say, from today I'm sitting here. The bosses would have allowed that.
My name is Golden Boy, and today we want to talk about South Africa, where in South Africa, 11,000 jobs are being given to foreigners. But before that, I want you to listen to what MAlema has been talking about this issue of foreign affairs, foreigners coming to South Africa. Do they have benefit in South Africa? So let's indulge in this video, then I'll see you at the end of the video.
So the bosses are white monopoly capital which owns the South African economy. Is the one that brings foreigners into the country, give them jobs because they're going to pay them lower wages. And then from there come to South Africans and say, these people are taking your jobs. And then they make us fight. But Sakina, since when have other Africans never worked in South Africa? Because this Johannesburg was founded by a Southern Africa, not South Africa. That's why the language Fanaka law exists. Because these people came from everywhere to come and mine this diamond that we're enjoying and gold we're enjoying today in Gauteng. So they met from Mozambique, they met from Malawi, they met from Zambia, Zimbabwe. They came together, they couldn't hear one another. They even developed a language called Fanagalo. EFF was not there when that was formed. So it's not true that this is something that is happening for the first time. It has always been. But why would you say, I don't support colonialism and support colonial borders? That is hypocrisy. If you don't support apartheid, you don't support colonialism, you cannot support the invasion of everything that came with these people. The borders were imposed on us. We never had borders. And even without borders, we never encroached in each other's territory. We always knew that here is this kingdom, here is that kingdom. So it's unscientific to say when you do away with the borders, there's going to be an influx of foreigners in South Africa. Let's take Limpopo and Gauteng, for instance. Limpopo is much more poor than Gauteng, but the people have never left Limpopo to come to Gauteng. I come from Limpopo, and every time I get an opportunity, I go home. I've got no intention, none whatsoever, to relocate my home into Gauteng. So it's unscientific to say because people are poorer and we are in a much better, relatively stable situation, they are going to come here and destabilize us. No one wants to come here. We want you, people of Africa, if you want to go and trade in DRC, wake up this morning and just go to DRC and do whatever you want to do and come back without hassle. There must be free movement of people. There must be free movement of goods, and Africans must trade amongst themselves, because only through the unity of Africa will we earn our seat on the international table where real issues are being discussed.
Because you know about the unemployment in this country. And what government is trying to do is also make it difficult for foreign nationals to have jobs here. Not necessarily make it difficult, but you need to find a way so that you don't get a helper or anybody else where there's no scarce skills who gets a job here without considering South Africans first. So how do we deal with the issue of scarce resources? Because when you've got all of them here and you're saying let's formalize them, we don't have jobs. So the competition is high. So you're going to have South Africans that are without jobs. Some of the jobs are really taken by some of the foreign nationals, whether they're here legally or not.
I've never had a country where it says it doesn't want to grow. Numbers matter when it comes to geopolitics. China, it is what it is because of its size of its population.
But its economy is growing very well. Ours is not.
Because the leadership is working. Let's industrialize. Let's make sure that manufacturing grows in South Africa. Let's create jobs. But all I'm saying is, you are saying these people are coming to take jobs. Which jobs are you talking about? Because there are no jobs that South Africans are accepting which are a reflection of slavery. These people are being enslaved here in South Africa. And when you say they've taken South Africans' jobs, you are saying South Africans must be enslaved. These are not jobs. These are slaves' jobs, which South Africans don't want. To work abnormal hours, to work under difficult conditions, and don't get paid, and don't have rights. So no South African wants that. At the level where it's a required skill, South Africa makes it very clear that we must give preference to South Africans who've got the similar requirement. Unless we don't have artisans, then we go and fetch from other countries. We're going to chase these people out of South Africa. Tomorrow, the whole plumbing system and sewer system of South Africa will go into a blockade and will not be in a position to help ourselves because we don't have artisans.
Yeah.
The whole of South Africa will go into electricity crisis because you chased away the electricians.
But we do have South African plumbers and South African electricians.
But they are not enough. They can't meet the demand. It's like saying we produce chicken in South Africa, therefore we can't take chicken from South Africa. We don't produce to the capacity of the demand of South Africa. So all I'm saying is, where a job is given, a South African with same qualifications should be given a preference. We cannot prefer a person who's not a South African to the one that is going to pay tax in South Africa. And that is not what we are dealing with. I want you to present any stats to me that says if we deport these foreigners, so many jobs are going to be created. The steel factories have closed down, not because of any foreigner. Infrastructure in South Africa is decaying because there is no leadership that wants to look after that. It's not a foreigner. Manufacturing, which used to be the biggest contributor to our GDP, it is actually being replaced by finance, which doesn't create a lot of job opportunities for our people. But you know that if you go into manufacturing, you are going to create a lot of jobs. A factory, manufacturing used to account for thousands of jobs, more than 150,000 jobs in manufacturing alone. Today, you can't count more than 80,000 of jobs in manufacturing. So you can't say the foreigners have actually, the jobs are still there, 150,000 of them, the foreigners have taken them. No, the factories have closed down and jobs were lost, not because foreigners came in, but because the financial sector has overtaken manufacturing, and financial sector does not want to deal with industrialization. Anything long term, the financial sector does not want to support it. Why? Because they deal with hot money. They deal with what short-term investment, and they don't want anything to do with long-term.
I'm just here to say to everybody that likes to act like they care for the country, wara, we want what's best for South Africa, we want our people to get jobs. Home Affairs is bringing in 11,000 highly skilled employees to South Africa. And I was listening to a mini plenary in Parliament where they were debating about these highly skilled employees and what skills they are bringing. And then this other guy from the EFF, I don't know his name, that one, he was saying, Obana, he's seen the list of the skills that are required in order for you to be regarded as a highly qualified. And he was saying there is call center managers there, and he doesn't think that qualifies to be a highly skilled. We've got so many people that are capable of being call center managers in South Africa. We don't need someone from overseas to come to South Africa for that. And he was saying jobs that should be regarded as highly qualified, it should be like engineers or what, but not the basic job. And he says that if you go through that list, you're going to realize that most jobs that are listed there as skilled jobs, it's basic jobs that South Africans can do. Managers, it's literally basic jobs. Now, I'm here for everybody that likes to say, yeah, the Zimbabweans are taking our jobs, wara. You know, whether we want to accept this or not, Zimbabweans in South Africa, they clean, they do these things. They don't take the jobs that we want, like office jobs. We know that South Africa is the most unemployed. You're telling me if they're bringing 11,000 from outside South Africa to come to South Africa when we don't have jobs as South Africans, and you guys are quiet. So I don't know. That's why I say, Mina, I don't take you guys serious. On social media, I don't take them serious. When they are angry, when they are acting like they care, you must know that they are influenced. There are so many things happening in South Africa, and it's Tetel. You were angry, Ubana Uchidima is going to represent South Africa, wara. Someone from South Africa could have won. Yeah. 11,000 jobs are being given away. Ni tool. Yo. Social media.
On the regulatory side of the equation, I come bearing very good news today. After working at really breakneck speed over the last few months, alongside the South African Revenue Service, as well as Operation Vulindlela in the presidency, the regulations for a brand new points-based work visa, as well as for the remote working visa, arrived on my desk this morning. These regulations will firstly bring the remote working visa to life after we were able to iron out the tax implications of this new system. In terms of the remote working visa, a person who is employed and paid in another country will now be able to move to sunny South Africa to spend all of their dollars, yen, euros, pounds, or renminbi right here. To add to the attraction, only if someone spends more than 6 months out of the year in South Africa will they even be required to register with the Revenue Service. They will spend their foreign currency at South African supermarkets and restaurants, eating South African food grown by South African farmers. They will buy cars and clothes from South African businesses and pay to visit South African tourist attractions. And yes, they will spend their money in South African sports stadiums, watching the South African rugby team beating everyone else.
When we talk about the visa issue, for example, of wanting to attract people to South Africa, that is anchored in the rule of law to make sure that we have fair administrative processes that don't take years. But equally on the other side of the equation, where people have the ability or opportunity to either follow the process we saw here today or to obtain a visa in a legal way, and they choose not to do that, then there must be consequences for that. The message we want to send to the world is that South Africa is absolutely wide open for business, wide open for people who want to legally contribute with their skills through our visa system.
Viva to DA! We don't want MAlema. He wants to open borders for foreigners to come. Foreigners must go. The DA Minister of Home Affairs say they want skilled foreigners like us. That's a blow to black South Africans their face. Obviously means people are not skilled enough. We are not get handwork. People are not hardworking. If they need foreigners to come and work in your country, not just normal laborer foreigners, they need skilled foreigners. Obviously means South Africa not get skilled people. MAlema wanted to create jobs for you guys. Now saying that because of foreigners, now not vote MAlema. Now the DA is opening the border by another means. Because they're creating visas for people like us. The skilled people outside, the foreigners to come and work in SA. New people cannot stop that. I'm not saying Nguyen now because he's from the DA. MAlema said the same thing people want to crucify. I go sing.
Yes. Now I believe that you have heard from all my preceding speakers. And it is absolutely a monumental shame that many black South Africans do not understand that collective economic empowerment for black people should be the focus 24/7, and that what Julius MAlema is continually stating about the open borders, intra-African trade, exportation increase in manufacturing and production is the foundation for collective black economic empowerment, where we own and control businesses all along the supply chain within all industries. The self-help is quite shocking within South Africa, but is to be expected as the divide and conquer strategy are working. It is very, very embarrassing for the South Africans. And what I think South Africa should change is its educational curriculum, where there more emphasis is on job creation than job hunters. More on production, skill development, innovation, because you guys, you have the resources. Then, another one says that I don't think you see it. Here is my intake on this. Many people had to flee at a particular country in the Middle East. These people are looking for a home, a job, and to rebuild their lives. Where do you think they will end up? On our doorstep. These are the highly skilled people he is speaking about. Let your eyes be opened. I wish other Africans could stop covering South African issues. They clearly stated they don't know anything about South Africa. But to my clear intention, I'm also not going into deep or indulging into South African issues. But what I'm trying to say that the black people, this is a country where majority of the South Africans don't know this, that they're being divided and they're being conquered, and they are again being ruled by the white people. As long as you belong to Africa, then I believe that country should belong to Africa. No, I'm not trying to be in a racial or statement, but what I'm trying to say is that the majority of the black should own the industries. Majority of the black should be employed in South Africa because that is their country. Now, the people they voted for this because I remember those days when South Africa were going for election, and they were supposed to vote for Malema, but people went against Malema, saying that he was arrogant, saying that he wanted the open border policies, where many South Africans don't want. Actually, they're saying that open border policies are things which are going to make South Africa to be a bad state. Now, in South Africa, you'll find that most of the people who are going against this are the black people, where the black people don't want their fellow black people to come to their country. Now, they voted for this, so they must like it. Julius Malema tried to warn them, but they wouldn't listen. Just like Dr. Clown Anderson and Malcolm X tried to warn the black people in the US, and they didn't listen. At the end of the day, this is a self-inflicted. Oh well. Now, I think what the man said is true. You can't have a bunch of people come in and not pay for taxes for almost 6 months. This is the same statement which Tanzania has been using, where when the foreigners come to their country, they are supposed to be in that country for at least 6 months, and that during that 6 months, you should be paying tax. And this is the reason why you'll find that most of the people are not traveling to Tanzania because of such policies. And when you are caught living in Tanzania for free, you will be fled away because you're not making their country economically develop. You're not making their country to grow. So they believe that you are a parasite. Now, the whole problem with immigrants illegal in US is that they are not paying taxes. It is that the same issue with the South Africans, where they're trying to chase away the black people or their fellow Africans from their country because these people are not making their country to develop. They are not paying taxes. In fact, these people are making South Africa to be in a bad shape, where there's been high increase of crimes. There's been high increase of people who are robbing the South Africans. Right now, when you go to Johannesburg, it is very a terrible issue. It is very a terrible city. Why? Because there is high crime. The majority of the youth are not employed. And when you go to those cities, you will find that most of the people are idle, and they are making those people in the city to suffer. Now, when we go to South Africa really needs to collect the tax money. The white man say that the non-tax paying people will be spending their non-tax money on events like food and transportations, so plus clothes and events, but may just pay reduced tax for 6 months, no tax for the 6 months. Now, these are someone who say that you talk as if you are quite about chi. Okay, this is just a bullshit. We got still people in South Africa. What did our children went to university for? So it is high time for you guys to change your curriculum, so that because we as Kenyans, we are all seeing what is happening in South Africa. As much as we are outside, then you have to know that you are also within, you are also in support of any country which is having internal issues. I know I indulge in South African issues. I also know that Kenya has a lot of issues. Like right now, we as Kenyans, the MPs, the members of parliament, are trying to impeach the deputy president in Kenya. The members of parliament are trying, the CS and even Kenyans all over are blaming this bad governance in Kenya, where they're saying that there is so much introduction of useless tax, of impulsive taxes, which are not making making Kenya to develop. In fact, the people in Kenya are trying to complain about the theft, what we call corruption, where there is so much open holes for the MPs or the ministers, where they are stealing a lot of money from the public. So these are some of the issues that are happening. But when you go to South Africa, what I've talked about is about the open borders, where Malema has been talking about this for a long time, even before he was voted for. In fact, this was one of the momentum, was one of the manifestos, where he said that when he is going to be elected, he's going to open borders. He's going to ensure that people in Africa are not having imaginary lines, are not having imaginary borders, and to allow the people to come to their country illegally. Yeah, because Africa is his business, and his business is Africa. So guys, I didn't have much to talk about this video. As much as I talked about this, I believe that you have heard from my preceders, speakers, who have also talked about the similar issues happening in South Africa. See you in another episode. My name is Golden Boy.